So today I just want to give a very brief insight into collection care with regard to community archives. So I'm an independent freelance conservator, but in the last 5 years I've worked part-time for the Scottish Council and Archives. For those who don't know, the Scottish Council and Archives, we provide leadership and build capacity for the archives and records management sector in Scotland. So we run a very busy programme of workshops and events and deliver projects and resources spanning engagement, education and advocacy. So this is my second slide, so if we can just stay on it, that would be great. So I took on the role of Community Engagement Officer in April 2018. One of the first tasks was to find out more about the types of community archives in Scotland, and I did this through a survey. Several of the questions in the survey related to collection care, and that's what I'm going to focus on today. So the results of the survey showed a huge interest in conservation, mainly like basic cleaning, advice on storage materials and the environment. And at the same time, I also discovered the great variety of community archives and types of collections held by these collections. And just to let you know, there are 1,800 groups registered in the UK with the Archives and Record Association UK and Ireland. That's similar to ICON. It's a membership organisation that represents the archive sector. So the classic example of a community archive is a group of people who live in the same location, but it could also mean communities of interest, maybe people who work in the same profession or have a common interest. So next slide, please. I just thought this would be interesting to you, mainly as conservators. So at the top left, you have textiles. This is a circumcision gown from the Scottish Jewish Archives Centre. Underneath, a little oil painting from Tyree. Below that is a display by Colourful Heritage, who promote South Asian community in Scotland. We have lots of photographs, quite early photographs, including things like daguerreotypes. There's things like the cassette tape that you can see on the bottom right. That's from the Scottish Music Archive Centre. Top right, a collection from Orkney. Meredith might be familiar with it. And that is what you would think is a typical archive. Lots of paper, lots of pamphlets and things like that. But you also get really quite odd items, like the old pair of leather boots that you see there. That's in a collection in the Scottish Borders. So it's really very mixed, and lots of types of problems that you might find in there. So next slide, please. Thank you, Claire. I just want to say the results of the survey that I mentioned earlier led to a training event called First Steps, Caring for Community Archives. So Scottish Council and Archives, in partnership with the National Records of Scotland, delivered a very successful pilot event in Edinburgh, which focused on basic principles of cataloguing, conservation and digital preservation. And this led to us doing the archive tour, which, if you look at the map, there were 7 destinations encompassing cities, towns and sort of local areas as well. But because of COVID-19, we couldn't get to Stornoway, but we will be going back there when it is safe to travel. So the feedback from every event, they're all free to attend, has been fantastic to date. And I'd say that that's because it's a collaboration with professionals and experts working and living all over Scotland. And that is the key to success. We've had around 180 people from community groups attending the events, and we've worked with about 20 local professionals. And I just want to take this moment to thank the 5 conservators who have been involved. We have Brianna Mackenzie, top left, conservator at the University of Aberdeen underneath. Richard Aiken, he is a conservator at Highland High Life, which is in Inverness underneath. We have Hazel DeVere and her colleague Pete Dixon is top right. They are conservators at the National Records of Scotland, and most of you will recognise bottom right, James Berry, Senior Conservator at the National Galleries of Scotland. So next slide, please. So, as I have already said, collaboration is key, and we want to work with as many people and organisations as possible. And we value your knowledge and the skills that you have. So community archives and heritage groups are usually run by committed volunteers, and they're very enthusiastic to learn more. So as a conservator, I always recommend people seek professional advice, and we always suggest going to the ICON website and finding a local conservator. But to help people look after their collections, usually at risk of damage through mishandling or poor storage, we want to provide easy to use, clear resources designed specifically for non-professionals. And this is where maybe you can hopefully help. Responding to lockdown and not being able to travel to Stornoway, we asked speakers from previous workshops to provide a face and a voice to their PowerPoint presentations. This has gone down really well, and we'd like to do more of this sort of thing. Perhaps create short videos or have case studies, write a blog, take part in a webinar like today. So if you are interested, would like to hear more about it, please do get in touch. Very happy to chat to you. And actually it's quite good fun as well. So my last slide, if you don't mind, thank you very much. I just want to tell you about the Community Archive and Heritage Group Scotland. It's a little bit like ICON Scotland. It's really for community archives and groups working or volunteering, as I say, in Scotland. We are connected to the ARA, the professional organisation that I told you about before. If you can provide any help, or if you just want to be involved in some way or support, we'd really like to hear from you. Thanks very, very much.